Stories in Stone, Luna's Royal Guard. By T.D.R. Where the River Goes. Stories in Stone, Luna's Royal Guard. By T.D.R. Where the River Goes. Twilight looked down at the sword. Everything was prepared to go back into the vision to see what had happened after the battle at Dullahan Keep. Everything had been ready for the last 6 hours, and yet it still sat here. Spike was upstairs reading, opting to leave her alone, but still be around if she needed something. Her mind needed to go back in to find out what went on afterward, but her heart had yet to be able to be hardened enough to go into the aftermath of the singer's death. She had been correct. Platinum's final song, once it had been cleaned of the background noise, did indeed rapidly become one of the top sellers in Equestria nearly overnight. Octavia and Vinyl Scratch had proven good to their word as well. Several musical schools received massive donations in Platinum's name. One school even going so far as to rename itself after her, using the donations to accept budding musicians from all troughs of life. She had received her record, and so had the princesses she suspected. Twilight had listened to the song non-stop after she had gotten her copy, managing to annoy Spike to no end. He liked the song, just not on full loop for 2 days. She had gotten to the point of almost wanting a distraction of some sort. Fluttershy had come by to ask if her and Aloysius were still coming out to the pet play date that weekend. She nodded her agreement, rapidly deflecting any questions about the history. If this sort of thing depressed her, then likely Fluttershy would have been in tears, and then Twilight would have been bawling right along with the yellow Pegasus. Then there would have been the fallout of what Pinkie would have done for making Fluttershy cry. It was just better if Fluttershy did not ever have any tears. A distraction finally did happen. She wished immediately that it had not. The 7th hour of her staring at the sword had just begun when her front door burst open. A pair of dark armored guards' ponies darted in and looked over the place before standing aside. A tall regal figure of a dark-coated alicorn princess stepped between them. Her blue eyes narrowed, staring at Twilight. "Guards, stand outside. I wish to speak with Twilight Sparkle alone." "Yes, Princess." The 2 stallions ducked out of the door, shutting it behind them. Luna walked closer to the still shocked and half-bowed Twilight. The goddess of night looked over the setup surrounding the sword, then down at Twilight, who had switched from bowing to laying nervously flat on the floor. "My sister did not think I would recognize the last song Platinum had ever sung. That mare was my favorite singer 1,000 years ago. She was also the cause of more than a few problems for me. I had thought you were simply out in the garden to talk to my sister, and that I was mistaken about the statue's expression changing. The charred grass as well. Perhaps you had learned a spell you did not have control of yet, dealing with fire. But you almost freed some pony, didn't you?" Twilight offered a nod, though Luna had changed her gaze's target. The princess' eyes locked on the blade resting on the table, staying on that as she spoke. "That you have the waning moon resting on your table is proof enough my sister knows what you are really doing. She only let slip it was someone she trusted who was looking into the past that had found it. You are the only one who would look back and that she trusts. What have you learned, Twilight Sparkle?" The princess leaned forward, eyes narrowing, looking more and more like Nightmare Moon with each inch closer. Twilight finally cracked and gave a rather intense and rapid-fire summary of everything that had happened over the past few months with her studies, including everything she had learned and more than a few things that had happened to her, including her own breakdown and the cutie pox incident. Princess Luna had taken a step back from the rapid-fire and panicked dialogue, her head tilting a bit, one eyebrow raised as Twilight ranted. Twilight pants, gasping for air as the princess regards her curiously. I am not sure I needed all of that in truth. But at least I know where you are in the past. I would ask ye to calm yourself. But I thought you would be angry at this. I am, though more at my sister than you. I gather you have an opinion of the situation with the 5 then. You forgave your sister for sending you to the moon, but not your friends, even though they are still waiting for you. It is different, Twilight. I have known my sister for far longer than I had those 5. Despite what myself and the 5 went through, my sister and I have been through more in our lifetimes. She was there for me when my first friends died, and she was there for me when my first love was killed. The 5 were the first friends I was able to make in over 2,000 years, Twilight. Their betrayal cuts deep, even if it was done for the good of all. The ones I trusted the most turned on me. I am unable to get over that. Which is one reason I am here. You want me to stop the research. I understand, Princess. I will have the blade put away and ready for you to take it in a moment. No. What? Do not stop your research, Twilight. While I do not place my trust so easily in you as my sister does, I do respect what you have done, and your skills have proven to be of a high quality as well. Continue the study, pay attention to everything. When you are done, I want your opinion on what I should do. What? Why mine? It was a dark time, Twilight. I did many things I regret now. I am sure all of us did. That sword's store follows its wielder, and to a lesser degree the others of the 5 as well. You will see what we did to achieve peace, what we became. The victories and shortcomings. I want an unbiased opinion of them. After all this time though, there are none left who knew them save my sister. And her opinion is far from unbiased when it comes to that point in time. Bear in mind, as well, the difficulties I have had adapting to the world of today. The peace of this time might not be fit for ones such as the 5. I want copies of your notes, as well as a report on this. I am asking that you send the reports on this to me rather than my sister from this point on. It will be bad enough for you to know all of what went on. There are some things that I would never live down if Tia were to hear of them. The princess flushes a bit suddenly, but it fades so quickly Twilight thought she might have been mistaken. As you wish, Princess. But Spy can only send letters to Princess Celestia. A dark gemstone floats up, resting lightly on the desk. Let him eat that, it will allow him to send messages to me as well. Do not take this lightly, Twilight, unlike my sister simply feeding your curiosity by allowing you to study the past. I am ordering you to do it. At your own pace, of course. But I would like the opinion when you are done. Of course, Princess Luna. Good, that's it. I will return to Canterlot with luck. You should not have any more interruptions. If you have need of something else, send a message and I will take care of it. Yes, There is one last thing though. What is that? My friend Fluttershy is something of a history buff as well, and she would love to read what I am writing. She might help some with the editing of it as well. Fluttershy. She was the pink-haired Pegasus who we sought aid from on Nightmare Night, if I am not mistaken? Yes, Princess. All right, she aided me in my endeavor, so if you trust her and she wishes it, then I will allow it. I would like her opinion as well. Thank you, Princess. Though her opinion will likely be easy to guess. Not if she reads everything you have seen. Her answer might not be what you think. Luna leaves at that, leaving Twilight alone again, looking at the blade on the table with a sigh. Spike ducks his head out of the door, looking around. Was that Princess Luna? What did she want? To add more stress to my workload. Though she did leave you a gift on the desk there. What? Oh wow, Twilight, this is Night Star Opal. Do you know how rare these are? She said for you to eat it so you could send messages to her as well as Princess Celestia. I get to eat a Night Star Opal. There's dragons who have been around thousands of years who have not even seen one. He darts over, grabbing the gem, not even hesitating, and eats it in 3 bites, his eyes watering as he swallows before he falls over, belching a black flame into the air and groaning a bit. Spike. Oh, you. It tastes like alfalfa. Did it work? Ugh, that's a taste that's going to be with me for weeks. And yeah, I can feel that there's a new place I can send things. I'm gonna go see if there's any rubies left to get rid of this taste. And I think I am ready to start on this again. Twilight looks back at the sword, tuning out Spike's crumbling, and settles into the spell line of dashes. His hoof struck hard, sending the pony's guard helm flying off his head and knocking the white mare off balance, sending him tumbling back down the stairs. Major, you stand the buck down and surrender right now. Like hell's general, she just lost the only family she had, and I will not let you or any other pony remove her freedom as well. It's the damn royal law. You know that, no unwanted dragons allowed in Equestria. That might have been lax for years, but the war's back on with this attack caser. How many soldiers you gonna hurt to protect that lizard? Depends, General. How many did you bring? I can do this all bucking day. He stepped back, moving further up the stairs in the keep's tower. A small bundle of blue scales floated over his back. Blue had passed out after they found Platinum. The singer was obviously dead when they found her. He could not even think of how she might have sung her last lines. The dragonling had reverted and fallen into a sobbing fit, before blacking out. Some of the guards had found them and were going to kill Blue before he stopped them. It went from killing her, to imprisoning her when it was explained that she was partnered with Platinum. And that had been on the general's orders after the explanation. Another rush at him was made from above by a Pegasus that had slipped in from the hole in the wall above him. The attacker bounced hard off her shield, tumbling down the stairs with a cry. Gerard moved up the stairs further, knowing he was backing himself into a corner in this tower, but having run out of options. Do you know the penalties for striking a fellow soldier, Major? Of course I do, but if you're still calling me Major, I have to assume that I have not done enough damage yet. Only 'cause you're pulling your strikes and just bruising them. Keep it up and some pony's gonna get hurt. I found out what that singer meant to you, but stand down. She meant more to Blue. If you think that I am gonna stand aside and let her be thrown into a cell or kicked out of the land she was born in after she lost everything and still helped to defend this keep as a civilian, then you better have brought something a lot better than a bunch of guards. We will handle this, General. Please stand aside. I need to learn to keep my mouth shut. Princess Luna. Of course, Princess. Be careful though, the fool's not in his right mind. Gerard Caesar, we meet again. We do wonder how you manage to be at the center of every major event that has happened in the last few years. Unlucky, I guess. So it would seem. I ask you personally to stand down and give yourself and the dragonling up. As I told the General, Princess Luna, go buck yourself. I will not see a friend suffer more because of an damn rule that should not even apply to her. Commendable loyalty, but bordering on treason to disobey a commanding officer and your princess. Do you think you would be able to stop me if I simply took her? Amazing what one pony can do when pissed off. Just ask the green-scaled lump of meat out in the courtyard about that. Save, unlike the dragon, I know your weakness. Do I need to bring Starfall and Reed Pelt up on the same charges you are pushing for? Guilt by association? Threats now? Do I need to bring up a strange dagger I learned a thing or two about? Now it is treasonous, Caesar. You threaten my friends and I don't care who the buck you are. You need to make a choice in your loyalty, Major. Is it to your friends or to the guard and Equestria? He does not even turn his head, his magic ripping the patch with his rank off his shoulder, letting it fall to the stairs. I refuse loyalty to a group that would fight just to make someone who saved them suffer more. Though since you're here, I suppose I have a plan B. Time to see if Grandpa Caesar really was going senile. He draws his blade, resting the dragonling on his back as his magic pulls it from the scabbard. A fine blade, but it will not be enough. It's not for you. The blade whirls, pressing to his own throat. A crazed smirk of his lips. As the princess's eyes narrow and the general curses. Grandpa told me about an old law that could be invoked with the goddesses to make them grant a dying hero's wish. Rule of 3. A pony who has done 3 great deeds for Equestria can demand something from a goddess before death. Where the hell did you learn that, Major? He's nuts. Silence, General. Interesting to see someone remembers that old rule. It is not one invoked lightly, as it dooms your souls well when the demand is met. Fine, then I will accept it. You have proven to be worthy of such a last request with the actions of these last years. Glad to see Grandpa wasn't making stuff up again. What I want is simple. I want no harm to come to any of my friends from this. Blue, Reed, Starfall, or Vilkern. Agreed. I shall see to it that they do not suffer unduly from this demand, or your treasonous acts. Hey, well, that was easier than I thought. I figured you would have tried to get out of it. Gerard yanks hard with his magic, expecting to feel the bite of the blade on his throat. Instead he got nothing. His magic was pulling, but the blade was unmoving. Out of the corner of his eye he catches the blue glow of the princess's magic holding the blade's hilt, still freezing it in place. The pact is only honored if you die, Caesar. And that will not be today. Oh Buck! She whirls in the hall, her rear hooves coming up, connecting hard against his skull just below his horn, sending him flying back, tumbling up the stairs before crashing into a door at the top. He barely manages to remain aware long enough to see that Blue was held by the princess's magic before he blacked out. Gerard's ear flick a little, a burning sensation on his forehead bothering him. He reaches a hoof up to rub it, his forehoof catching on something. He moves his other leg, hearing a jangling of chains. Opening one eye and winces at the dim light that seemed to pierce into his skull. He tries turning his head, finding that unable to happen as well. Opening his eyes and letting them adjust, all he sees are chains holding his legs and head in place, wrapping him like a mummy, and still the familiar buzz of magic gone as well, like it had been from Velkern's mix of herbs. There also seemed to be something akin to a strap of leather gagging him. From what he could see, he was bandaged up quite a bit, although even thinking sent waves of pain through his body. Honestly, did you have to gag the poor pony too? I am sorry, sir, but it was feared he may start speaking ill of the princess again. Well, he can be an idiot, but take that out of his mouth. It looks like you prepped him for some sort of kinky S&M fetish ball. That was Reed, no doubt about it. So how's his damage this time, Queenie? It is always a wonder that he is still alive. Despite all the wounds, he yet again will survive. And there was Velkern. You going to let him out now, or do I need to go put someone here who will? And get his sword from the lockup. Starfall too, or goody, now all we need is Blue, and all the people he was trying to save would be together in one place. Oddly, that whole kill himself to save them seemed a lot better at the time than it did now. He felt the gag pulled out and winced, trying to spit out the foul taste of it. Hey Ger, if we let you out, you're not gonna do anything stupid, are you? Depends. You not gonna flirt with every female you come across? Well, he's fine. Neither one of these two can stop themselves in those regards. Let him out, Lieutenant. Yes, sir. He felt the chains losing a bit, then slipping off his form as the lieutenant unbound the spell holding the chains. He slowly rose to his hooves and then promptly fell over again and blacked out once more. Well, that was graceful, Ger. Medic. Do not yell in my ear, I am already here. Oh right. Sorry. He awoke again, in a bed this time, though the chink of armor nearby told him he was still under some sort of guard. He sat up and the armor shifted. He kept his eyes closed, waiting to see what protests his body may offer him this time. He slowly opened his eyes and blinked, narrowing them as he stared at the white walls of the room and the guard's pony standing in a corner watching him. The guard nodded lightly to him as Gerard's gaze stopped on him. Where am I? Canterlot Hospital, sir. Looks different than last time. The Zebra Queen has been going on a bit of a fit with how the rooms were set up. She mentions something about lifeless cells and demanded something more uplifting be done to increase recovery time. Sounds like her. So why are you here? Precautionary measure, sir. What about the Queen, her advisor in Starfall? And Blue Scale, Air Commander Starfall is on duty, and the Queen and her advisor are running around the hospital somewhere. Sorry, sir, but I am not sure of the current whereabouts of Blue Scale. I can have someone let them know you are awake, sir. Please. Though just one more question. Sir, Why are you wearing my grandfather's sword? When commander's orders, the guard on duty is supposed to carry the weapon, though not use it. Nor are we to let you retrieve it. It seems the Queen felt that having something familiar nearby would be comforting. Oddly it is. Thank you. He lay back again with a thud, feeling once again like a mummy. He was not sure if he dozed off again, but he did hear the guard talking to someone outside and come back in to stand in the corner. The next thing he knew, he heard a resounding slap and the chuckle of Reet. I know I said you could do worse, but I did not mean to hit on the nurse. Really, but she is so cute. I love those little white uniforms. So how is the advisory working out for you, Velkern? Has he managed to repopulate your country with his children yet? Oh, delightful, the stallion of the hour has returned. You know what, forget hour, you have taken the whole bleeding year. Oh joy, more fame. Or is it infamy this time? Don't you worry, witch little Jer, you big brother Reet will take care of you. I am 2 years older than you, Reet. Is he awake? Better still, is he well enough that I can kick his flank yet? Is that any way to treat the mentally deficient Starfall? Goody, so you heard about that too. You threatened one most royal, the most that is considered disloyal. But he did it for us. Isn't that sweet? But it's wrong. You're an idiot, Gerard. Yes, but he is indeed a loyal idiot. That has to count for something. Any pony should be willing to die for their friends. Willing, yes. Eager, no. Remember that, Ger. Yeah, I love you all too, no matter how big of jerks you can be. Either of you know where Blue is? The dragon of that Blythe hue? She has a room here. We thought you knew? First, I have heard of it. So how is she? Well, let's see. First day she remained in a bowl crying, second day she trashed the room, third day back into a weeping ball, but attacked anyone who came in. Fourth day she hit on the guard and felt him up a bit before going back into a corner of the room and sulking, and currently today she is back to weeping and attacking. You know how to pick your friends, Ger. Keep in mind I have been friends with you the longest, Reet. So I have been out a week? That's it, Gerard, keep the placed alliance ego in line. And it's been 3 weeks. We have been told a story of you, left out was the connection to this Blue. Gerard sighs and closes his eyes again, dropping back to the bed. He started the story of what had happened over the past few months. The three of them sat in rather rapt attention, though Velkern asked Reet to translate the meaning of something for her occasionally. Ger, when you put your mind to picking up mares you go big. I mean really big. What's next, gonna try to hit on one of the princesses? 'Cause that only sorta works. I can tell you from experience. Stuff it, Reet. Sorry to hear about the loss, Gerard, for what it's worth. Thank you, though there is someone else suffering more for her loss than me. I only knew Platinum at best 2 weeks. It might have become more, and it likely was going to, but I will never know now. A tragic tale, I do agree, but life gets better, you will one day see. Let's hope Blue can be convinced that. So then what's my standing now anyway? Prisoner? Civilian? Rock farmer? Brigadier General? Stop screwing with me, Starfall. I'm not. Turns out you kicked so much flank at Dullahan, the 42nd jumped you up again. I beat the snot out of 20+ guard ponies, and threatened one of the princess's life. Yeah, kinda strange. She was impressed with that. You also took down a full-grown dragon who could cast a fear spell that filled the entire keep, destroyed countless trolls and half-bloods by yourself, defended your post of command against a force easily 6 times greater than yours. Then even after the reinforcements arrived you fought off, by yourself 20 guard ponies from the 42nd, plus General Mustang, and then after all that had the balls to tell the goddess of war to go buck herself. All of it while looking like a walking corpse. Balls of steel, brains of custard. Rumor mill officially has you at one of the most dangerous creature in the world right now. You're ranked just higher than a full-grown Hydra and just under a Ursa Major. I really do not even remember getting hurt. You had bits of skin just hanging on when I first saw you, although you were gone. Seems you got torn up really bad in that fight. The little dragon did too. Crap, Gerard, there were 200+ ponies stationed in Delahan, easily 50 more from the SO were there as well. Not counting the traitors, and including you and the Dragonling, there's tops 30-some odd survivors and 6 civilians from the SO. The body count of the enemy was nearing a 700 dead by the time the corpses were sorted. And the reinforcements only encountered maybe 100 of those. There is not a single pony who lived through that who is not torn up beyond all sense of the word. Not true, Starfall. There is one. Both Reed and Velkern smile at this as Gerard and Starfall look at them. One was caught who tried to run. General Mustang saved him for your fun. The door creaked open as Gerard peered into the dark room. Everything in there was destroyed, shredded, or simply flipped over. His ears perked. Well, one ear perked and what was left of the right one tried to. Velkern said she could fix it, but right now that was not a concern. There was sobbing coming from a corner of the room where a large nest of blankets had been made. He took a step closer, his hoof crunching the remains of a glass vase. Get out. He blinked, ears flattening, barely recognizing her voice. Reed, Velkern and Starfall peeked their heads around the door. The stance made him look like an odd totem pole of heads as he glanced back before turning to the nest and taking another step. I don't think I will take your advice this time, Blue. Gerard? Know anyone else who puts up with your crap? No. Not anyone else now. The nest all but exploded, causing the ponies behind him to duck back out of the doorway as Blue impacted with him. The little dragonling burying her face in his mane and bawling again as she hugged him. She's dead, Gerard, she's dead. They wouldn't even let me go to the funeral. I couldn't save her. We could not save her. We tried. Though with the mess he made of this room you would have been worse at the funeral. The dragon continued to cry into his mane. He could feel his bandages soak up the tears. I was told you were here too, but no one would tell me what was going on with you. I was told everyone I knew from the SO was killed as well. You're the only pony left I even know. We forgot the beats. What? When we killed the dragon after it harmed Platinum. We didn't make it eat its own wang with beats. Blue pulled her head away, looking up at Gerard with a half-puzzled expression and then a frown. Your comedic timing is terrible. That's why I chose the guard as a profession. Still glad you came. Not sure how much longer I am gonna be here. You look torn up to crap though. Looks like you played in a meat grinder yourself. What do you mean leaving? This attack has brought a lot of old hatreds to light against dragons. The nobles are enforcing some unregistered dragon act that's not been bothered with since the Dragon War. Any dragon that's not a registered familiar gets detained or deported. Yeah, well, I would like to see them get past me to do it. Gerard, I do have your sword, and the queen here can knock your flank out in 2 seconds flat. As skilled as you think of me, a blow like that would take 3. Well, you heard her. Seriously, do I have to come to the rescue on this again? Reed steps fully into the doorway and Blue perks up a bit looking at him over Gerard's shoulders before muttering in his ear. Okay, who is the fabulous hunk of horse flesh and how much you renting him for? I did hear that. Anyway, like I told you on the way up here, he can register you as his familiar without too much effort. Given his current rank and status, he'll likely can bypass the test by simply looking at the testers funny. Of course, with that one red eye of his, it should be easy to scare the tail off some academic. Wait, what? You would do that? With all you have done, gladly. She was dear to us both, Blue, but I did not have nearly the connection you had to Platinum. I still regard you as a friend and would not see anyone she cared for suffer if I can stop it. I suppose this does mean you get a brother of sorts. Well, if it's all right with you. The dragonling's grip tightens as she cries into his mane again, using one of the bandages to blow her nose. Like I would pass the chance to annoy the crap out of you. Gerard smiles, though the grin seems to have a darker turn as his voice changes to one of barely hidden malice. And there is more good news as well, Blue. Huh? More? Oh yes, they caught the mastermind behind the attack and we have been cleared to have a little chat with him. Blue stares up at him a moment before grinning wide herself, rows of fangs crackling with a blue lightning as she looks to the door. Gerard turns back as well, his red eye glowing with the electric grin below his head. The darkness of the room leaving only the glowing reflection of red and blue dancing over ivory visible as a face in the dark. Okay, Blue, I am not officially very close to piecing myself and we really need some ground rules. I shiver to think what might soon befall. What is it you think of this Starfall? Starfall. Gerard's sword was left spinning in the air, as a loud boom echoed around the hospital as Starfall managed to rain boom somewhere outside, fleeing from the face in the dark. The door to the room burst open, and a still very bandaged Gerard bursts in, trailed by Velkern, Reed and Starfall. Gerard shifts uncomfortably in the dress uniform of his new rank. Starfall still had his sword and was dressed in a uniform of her rank. Velkern had somehow gotten a white nurse's uniform to wear and Reed had donned a suit. Gerard glanced at the prisoner, Colonel Claymore, bound in chains to the corner of the room. Well, if it isn't Equestria's star maggot, what brings filth like you into my little tomb, Major? General now, so feel free to call me sir. Not a chance in the Darklands I would do that. So who are these little shits? I recognize the flying bitch, but not the dopey one or the stripe. Come to have a little laugh at me? No, not at all, Colonel. These are, however, friends of mine, and the tall one in particular is here to help you out. I don't need any help from any of your bucking acquaintances, maggot. Soon as I get a lawyer I am out of the cell. Understood, Starfall. Please let the record show that the Colonel has turned down the only lawyer in Equestria still compassionate enough to be willing to represent him, and as such shall now be forced to represent himself. As such, I would like to hire Mr. Pelt myself to remain and explain the legalities of this meeting. Noted, sir. What sort of kangaroo court bullshit is this? It is not any sort of kangaroo court, Colonel Claymore. I was indeed the only pony to pass his bar that was willing to even have anything to do with your defense. Your name has been made public as the cause of the attack on Dullahan Keep. No pony wants anything to do with you. That's total crap. What about fair and due process of equestrian citizens? I demand a lawyer. You are correct. Equestrian citizens are quite entitled to such representation. You however gave up that right when you led a terrorist attack on a key military installation, essential to the safety of Equestria. The princesses banished you, as it were. They can't do that. They did, however. All your lands and assets have been seized and divided up and sold to aid in the restoration of the keep as well as to help the victims' families. Your wife and children have been left with a small stipend and have been offered a place in Canterlot as well as name changes and new citizenship in order to hide who they were. They all accepted eagerly. Well, once they were cleared of any wrongdoing, the only thing you have left is your rank in the Guard. The Guard does tend to have rather odd rules sometimes. After all, I threatened a princess and got promoted for it, to general no less. Go figure. The point is, though, you are not counted as a pony anymore. You are now counted as government property. No bucking way. Some days I love the legal system. As we all know, you cannot be tried for torturing property for information. But before you wet yourself in terror, allow me to introduce another friend of mine, Vilkern. She is here to keep you alive as long as she can. And look, she even brought some painkillers for you so you can have a bit of a break to recover. He uses his magic to lift the bottle out of the zebra's bag, waving it a moment with his magic before flinging it to the side, letting it smash into the wall. Oops, well, that's not good. Seems I have not quite shaken off the effects of the medicine I was taking due to my own injuries from the attack. Oh well, I am sure she has some more, right, Vilkern? I disagree, you clumsy lout. That was the last bottle. I am fresh out. Ah well, Colonel, here's a tough pony. He can handle a bit of pain. No problem though. What to use first? Oh, sorry, Vilkern, you can step outside if you want. I figure this sort of thing is against your ideals. If I was given half the chance, I would use honey and some ants. Wait. What is that stripe head talking about? I remember that form of torture, sir. Oh? What is it, Starfall? You smear some honey on a body part, then let some of the jungle ants from Vilkern's homeland loose on them. They go right for the honey. Usually whatever the honey is on, they take the skin right off with it along with the fur. Tends to leave the muscle bare beneath it. Oh, I like that. Do we have any ants? Plenty, but at the moment, we are out of honey. Pity. What else we got? You fools can't touch me. Even if I'm property, you'd all end up in jail for so much as cutting hair on my mane. This kinda shitty bluff doesn't mean shit. How many are suffering because of what you did? I am not even counting those who died. How many mothers and fathers, sons and daughters' blood is on your hooves, Colonel? How many children are now orphans because of you? How many parents are weeping over the graves of their children? How many loves cut short because of your damnable ego and quest for power? How many, Colonel? Buck, you maggot. You're not getting shit from me. Starfall moves as Gerard lunges, shoving him down onto a bench standing between him and the Colonel as he laughs. You think you scare me, fool? Your little torture tricks are nothing to me. You cannot touch me. I do hate to admit you are correct on that. I cannot touch you, not a hoof, not a hair. Even a general can get into a great deal of trouble damaging such important property such as you. Though on another subject, do you realize that one of the ponies to die in that battle was the singer Platinum? What of it? You think I care about some stupid bitch using her plot and a pretty voice to get by? No, I did not think you would. However, she did have a familiar dragonling, and due to my connection with her I adopted said familiar. What of it, maggot? Read if you would. Inform the Colonel here of the situation with new owners of dragonlings. Let's see section 6. Reed pulls a book from Velcorn's bag, setting it on the table before him, flipping through it with a hoof and reading down the text. Here we are. Due to the as of current unpredictable natures of dragon hatchlings and the unicorns bonded with them, any new student of Celestia's School for Gifted Unicorns, hereafter known as the SGU, shall be granted a large stipend, weekly, to pay for any damages to property or persons resulting from this unstable connection. This is only granted to those who receive the certification to keep the dragon hatchling, however. And it goes on for a while there. Suffice to say, Gerard received that certification today. And looking at the bits allowed for property damage, well, let's just say to go over the limit allowed there would need to be at least 4 of you to turn into Pace Colonel. Ah yes. Enjoyable legalize, who would have thought it? Did you hear that, Blue? Of course I did, boss. And I am feeling rather destructive towards things after my friend's death. Blue lets her spell drop, falling down from the ceiling onto the Colonel's back, her claws digging into his bare back as she grins, leaning around so that her teeth were the only thing the Colonel could see from one eye, her clawed hand running over the other side of his face in a slow caress that drug her claws through his fur. She is right, you should have seen her hospital room. Oh yes. On a side note, did you bring the beats like I asked Velcorn? Hey boss, does he need both these eyes? Likely not. The creature that shot him out saw fit to give him 2 for some reason. He won't miss one. The Colonel's screams were likely heard all the way back at the Great Wall. I still say that was a bit much, you two. And I say it was not enough, Starfall, but I did promise you he would live. Should have let me kill him, boss. No, you agreed to do things my way, Blue. Besides, we got all the information he had and it is not nearly enough. Princess Celestia said directly he was never going to bother anyone again where he was going. Actually, that was quite enough to go on. We have a name to look for, that was the contact. Remind to never get on your bad side, it would do no good to run and hide. You do not have anything to worry about, Velcorn, unless you plan to get an entire keep full of ponies killed for a mad grab at power. I do not want the power I have got. Do anything for more I surely will not. I think you have changed a great deal for the worse, Gerard. I never would have thought you had that in you. Not only to sit and watch, but to offer suggestions on what to remove next. He killed those under my command. His actions murdered friends. He made all those who survived suffer. If what was done in there makes you worry about my moral starfall, then pray you never have to see what would happen if someone sought to harm one of you. Morbid. Black clothes and cutting yourself, I can see it, and you already started the cutting part. Yes, thank you for the yelling again, Reed. I am less than 2 feet from you. How you doing, Blue? The little dragon lay curled up on his back, the colonel's blood already cleaned off her claws and scales by Velkern. I feel sick. I thought I would feel better after giving the bastard some pain, but it didn't help. I still feel bad. That's fine. I would be more worried if you enjoyed it. The question is, did you enjoy it? He glanced back at Reed, who was looking at him rather concerned, Velkern and Starfall giving him much the same look. He sighed. If I enjoyed it, I would not be looking for a bar so I can get drunk enough to forget it. Well, yeah, he seems back to normal enough for me. 60, 61, ANDDDDDD. A half. Okay, round down, that's 61 of these things you made, boss. What was the last count? Here we go, 53. Nice jump there. How many did you make the last time you did this? Gerard pants in the training room, sweat running down his form. 61 free-floating shields locked in the air around him, all about the size of a pony. Blue bounced among them, landing hard on a few of them and leaping off as they held the weight of her pony-sized form without breaking. Never did a count before this, never had any help with it. His horn was glowing hot at this point, feeling to burn the flesh around his temple. He was still wrapped in bandages, including one that wrapped over his forehead where Luna had kicked him. He had yet to see the Moon Princess, but he knew a meeting was coming. Blue continues to bounce among them, glancing down at Gerard. You sure you wanna keep this up? You're still injured and sweating like you're on fire. Stick around him a little longer, Blue Scale. Injured seems to be a constant state for him. The sudden booming voice knocked his concentration loose enough for the shields to drop, forcing Blue to flap her wings to keep herself from falling to the floor. I had expected to see you days ago, Princess. Royal duties tend to take time. Honestly, volume down, Lady Akinda echoes in here. My apologies. It is nice to see you have a walk-in and seem at least in better spirits. Blue, was it? Yeah, well, awake, yes, better spirits not even close. What is it you need, Princess? I thought you would want to meet somewhere less open to yell at me. Why would I yell at you? The threats, the fighting, the demands, that sort of thing. A massive promotion was the last thing I expected after waking up. Well, okay, the last thing I expected was this to be a really long dream, but the promotion was a close second. The pair of you held back a force far larger than you should have been able to. Even if the inspiration to push back came from Platinum's voice, you lead the charge and kept her safe long enough for the attackers to be routed. The two of you killed an ancient dragon by yourselves. I regret that we could not make it in time to save more ponies. For that I truly am sorry. Not your fault, I heard the deal of that. Nobles and politicians bogged down everything because of lack of information from the general. The 8th ignored the orders to stay here and you brought the 42nd on your own. We all would have been dead if that had not happened. Again Blue. Right, boss. He begins raising the shields again around him, Blue fluttering up to bounce on them as she counts. You still seek to downplay your own skills. If it was something any pony could have done, then any pony would have done it. Still somewhat mad at you for the threats, Princess. Is there a point to this? I had no intention of harming any of your friends. I figured that out when I calmed down, Princess. It's also why I just accepted the rank without much question. The goddess of war must have had a reason for promoting someone willing to fight her, then kill himself for a pair of ponies, a zebra, and a dragon. I do indeed. A few shields drop at that, though Gerard manages to raise them again. Okay, I was just making things up as I went along there for a moment. You had a plan to promote me because I was threatening you. Not because you threatened me. Because of the reason you did it. War is on the horizon, Gerard. My sister believes that you and your friends will be key to achieving victory in it. Provided you all can complete what tasks are set before you. I also wish to apologize for striking you, but you weren't leaving me little choice at the time. Well, I have been out of trouble a few months now. Getting back into it sounds about right. And yeah, I agree. Now I was going a little overboard at the end of that. The primary key among these missions is trust, Gerard. Only 58 this time, boss. You're getting tired. Keep bouncing. I trust my friends with my life, and more often than not my sanity, Princess. Trust I doubt will be an issue. I do not expect it to be an issue between them and yourself, Gerard. The trouble will be getting you to trust me. You're one of the princesses. I follow your orders. That is the solider talking. I will need you to trust me, as I am not as your princess. Like paper, boss. Let's call it then. I am not sure what you are meaning by that, Princess. You want me to put the same level of trust in you that I have in my friends and that they place in me? You might have saved my life directly and reattached my leg. I will admit I am thankful for that, but the last time I said I trusted you, you flung me into the air in an effort to get Starfall to perform a sonic rain boom. And the next time I see you, you threaten my friends right after I lost one of them, and another was suffering greatly. That sort of thing does not raise a trust level to that of what I have with the others. Reed has proven he trusts me on numerous occasions, telling me things, and I trust him to do what is right with what I tell him. Starfall trusted us enough to tell us what was going on with her family, and we have trusted her to accept the two of us as we are. Velkern trusted me enough to put her life in my hooves to return to deal with her brother, and I trusted her with my life as well as the lives of the squad that took that plateau by agreeing to bring her along. Blue trusted me enough to agree to become my partner, and I trusted her enough to follow her advice, and to make the offer to her to become my partner. There are a great many other things building off of those major items, but they all build to how we mesh. The others are still getting used to Blue, But so far Velkern seems to like her a great deal and the others are slowly warming after the interrogation. It's taken a while to get to this point. I have fought and bled with all of them, but I have done the same with countless others that I can only call acquaintances. Then it is not something that I might simply seek. It has been a long time since I have tried. I figured something like that, Princess. Call me Luna. Excuse me. If it is not an official situation, Gerard. Call me Luna. So how's the boss supposed to know if it's an official situation? We shall speak in Royal Canterlot, of course. Gerard winces and Blue tumbles back across the floor, bouncing off the wall. Got it. Well, it is something, Princess. I mean Luna, though I do wonder why you would need my trust. I am sorry that it is not something I am able to speak of yet, but it does involve the 5 of you becoming my personal guards. I am already a member of the 42nd, I already am one of your personal guards. No, Gerard. You are a soldier in a personal guard unit. If this comes to pass, you 5 shall be the highest military authority under Celestia and myself. Do the what now? I offer you this, only because I seek your trust. Have you heard of the elements of harmony? What pony hasn't? There were the artifacts that you and Princess Celestia used to seal away discord and end the Discordian War. A close enough tale to the truth. The task involves the recovery of said artifacts. They are lost. All but one, the 6th one, but it is useless without the others. Celestia believes that you 5 will be able to retrieve them. And she has yet to be wrong about the past wielders of the elements. So why us? That I do not know, but she claims you all bear a spark of what is needed. Was that a sufficient enough answer for you? Yes. Nope. What? Blue, what do you mean? Information might be fine for the boss here, but I want something else from you if you want me to think about starting to trust you. Blue. Stay out of this stoplight, eyes. What? Fine, what is it you want? A light rain fell from the sky, striking on the green glowing shield raised above the 3 of them. The ground was soaked in the white marble monolith pushed up from the soggy earth like a white tower, a striking contrast against the gray sky and driving rain. Blue sank down before the stone, a clawed hand running along the name etched in the grave marker. Gerard placed a wreath of violets against the stone as Blue leaned against it, sobbing softly, talking to it. Gerard stepped back away from the grave, leaving Blue alone. Hey boss lady, sorry it took me so long to show up. Had to keep your boyfriend in line and save his sore flank. Just wish we could have saved yours. Sent the bastard to hell who did this to you. Sent the guy who set it up too. That really was the best concert you ever performed. Beat out the Prince one by miles. I'm doing okay, you picked a winner with this one. He invited me to work with him. I didn't think you would mind too much since you were the one who wanted him at first. Sorry I doubted your choice, boss lady. Sorry about a lot of things. I wish you were here still. You two would have made the ugliest fools ever, and I would love to seen them. I'm sorry that it had to end like this, boss lady. I really am. Luna glanced between the two and the stern expression on Gerard's face. Is this not something you should be crying over? I have not really wept over anything since my grandfather died 6 years ago. Even at my father's funeral I could not bring myself to cry. I know I should, and I feel like I should be. But I do not. Thank you for teleporting us out here, Princess. I am not sure when we would have been able to make it back to Cincinnati with all that was happened. It was no trouble. It takes a good bit of energy to travel this far, but not enough to be a bother this time. He nods, watching Blue press a kiss against the singer's name etched in the stone and then stand up looking to the sky. She started to sing hesitantly, her voice cracking, though sounding very similar to how Platinum's had. The stars, the moon, they have all been blown out. You left me in the dark. No dawn, no day, I'm always in this twilight. In the shadow of your heart. Line of dashes. Twilight pulls her head back with a wince, turning and vomiting in her trash bin before collapsing onto the floor. The entire scene with the Colonel had been in there, and she was still shuddering from what the little dragon had been capable of, as well as what the others had been able to watch before telling her to stop. She herself had no idea how she managed not to tear herself away from it. The nightmares of a stallion being flayed alive bit by bit likely would haunt her forever. No matter how much he had deserved it, that was far too much. Spike came out, stopping to rub her back as she lost what little bit was left of her dinner. Twilight, what happened? What's wrong? She didn't say anything, though she wrapped her 4 hooves around the little purple dragon, hugging him. Okay, well, I appreciate the hug, Twilight. What's going on? There were horrible things this time. It was worse than before. Give it up then. Send the sword back to Celestia. Stop the research. You've been all sorts of out of it since that thing got here. No, Spike, as bad as it is, I have to know now. Princess Luna even ordered me to continue the research and sent her what I found. Twilight. I said no, Spike. I am going to hold off a few days though, maybe just sleep tomorrow. But tomorrow is the Sisterhood social. We were gonna go watch Applejack and Applebloom compete. Go on without me, Spike. I'll apologize to Applejack and Applebloom later. If you say so. Good night, Spike. Night, Twilight.